Hi everyone, it's me, May Leparachi, and I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I am the professor of voice here at Trinity Baptist College in Jacksonville, Florida, and I also am the chorus teacher in Trinity Christian Academy. And I also own my own studio called Leparachi Music Ministries, and I teach private voice and piano students. And I get students ready for competitions and for auditions for whatever they would like to audition for, whether it's for like a TV show or for a school competition or anything like that, or even for them to get into School of the Arts if they're in junior high or high school. Anyway, the lecture that I'm going to do today is about something called the International Phonetic Alphabet. And if you've never heard about that, it's a way of learning how to read sounds so that if you were to look at a dictionary in another language, you could figure out how to say those specific words in that language. And all languages around the world use this phonetic alphabet so that people who are from a different country can learn how to say certain words. But today, because that's a very broad spectrum of languages that we could go through, the languages that I typically teach are English, Italian, German, French, Spanish, and occasionally anything Latin based I could probably pick up and introduce and kind of talk about how to pronounce certain words and how to say those things. But today we're going to focus mostly and primarily on English phonetic alphabet. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I created some flashcards, and I also sent Mrs. Opilas a worksheet for you guys to use so that you can also learn how to write these specific symbols. So this word right here, this word is longevity, right? So the IPA is actually the symbols that you see at the bottom. So if you've ever taken out a dictionary and you always wondered, oh, what are these things? I have no idea. And how do I read this? So that's what we're going to go through today. And then at the end of this lecture, I'm going to tell you and show you how you can use IPA in how you sing and to improve the way that you sing. Okay, so the first thing that I have are the forward vowels. But okay, the first thing that I'd like to share with you are the forward vowels. So the first forward vowel is, let me keep my, there we go, is this one. So it looks like the lowercase I, but this is the symbol for, and a lot of the symbols are going to be letters that you already kind of know, but they're going to represent a sound, not necessarily how you read normal things in regular English. So when you see this symbol, it looks like the letter I, but this symbolizes the sound for E, as in beat. So if you look at the first thing there, on that first line, you're going to put the lowercase I, which stands for the sound E, as in beat. So this next one looks like an uppercase I. So the uppercase I is the next forward sound, forward symbol for I, as in bit. So if you look at the next part there, put an uppercase I in the word bit. And then the next one we have here, if you look at your chart also, it shows the next forward vowel, which is eh, and it kind of looks like a cursive E or a backwards 3. It kind of has like a swirliness to it. This is eh as in bet, eh as in bet. So that's what you're going to create as a symbol for this specific sound, eh as in bet. So it can't be like capital letter E. It has to be that cursive looking or a backwards 3, okay? All right, going into the next sound. This is the last forward vowel. This is kind of like a Roman symbol A connected to a lowercase e. And that is a symbol for a as in bat, a as in bat. So you do have to have the A with the hook on the top, okay? I kind of like filled it in and colored it in a little bit to make it look pretty. But when you're writing it, it should be like the A with the hook on the top and the E. So that is your a vowel. That's the last forward vowel. Going into the central vowels, it looks like, I don't know, a mountain or an arrow pointing up. But this sound is as in bud, as in bud. And it's where the accent goes on the word. So if you look at this one, that is different from this one, which kind of looks like an upside down E. They both are the same sound, but the accent is different. If it's like one syllable word, bud, it would be this. But if the word is not accented, in this case, in the word about, so notice how bout is the accented part of the word, is not the accented part of the word. So this would be the symbol for the Okay, so it's like an upside down E. Okay, another central vowel is this. So it kind of looks like that backwards 3 or that cursive E connected to a cursive R. Looks like this. And that is the accented as in burr, like you're really cold and you're going burr. Okay, so that is that symbol right there. Okay, and I would start at the bottom and circle up, and then I would connect that cursive R to it. Okay, another centralized letter. This is the non-accented as in butter, butter. So it's not the accented It's that upside down E with the connected cursive R. So see how I kind of drew that with my finger? That is how you want to draw that specific symbol. Okay, going into back vowels now. Now for the back vowels, basically this chart is kind of how you want to view your mouth. So closer to the lips, to the front of the mouth, E, A, like that vowels here, E, A. So notice how you're saying it. Those are the forward vowels. As you feel it more in the central part of your mouth, you'll be on about, okay? You'll feel it more in the middle part of your mouth. And then towards the back, like where the soft palate is, we have these vowels, okay? They're a little, like again, like I said earlier, they look like symbols that you know. These will be very familiar, but don't get it mixed up with how you know letters in English, but associate them with the words that I put there for you, so that you associate it with a sound rather than how you hear a word. So the first one is the U, and this is U as in boot. U as in boot. And then we have this horseshoe kind of looking U, and this is as in book. And then we're going to skip the next one because that's going to be something that I consider a pure vowel, which we'll look into that in just a second. Okay, or in a diphthong, really. This kind of looks like a backwards C. Backwards C. This is aw, as in bought. So notice the way that I said that, bought. I bought that toy, bought it. And then this vowel looks like an ah, a little wider in the back of the mouth. This is a back vowel. Ah, as in box. Aw, as in bought. Ah, as in box. So hear the difference in the two vowels. They can get confusing, but where you feel that specific vowel in your mouth has a different sound. Now we're going to go into diphthongs. So the first one that we have here is A. Looks like a lowercase e and an uppercase I, and that's your first diphthong. And diphthong is two sounds made into one syllable. So you have to say them quickly, and it becomes the one syllable. So this is A as in bait. A as in bait. This one is a regular O, and then that horseshoe looking U. This is O as in boat. O as in boat. Now, in your chart, it gives you the pure vowel, which is just the O, but if you're not going to say it like the diphthong, you'll just say boat, boat. It still keeps that O, but you wouldn't put the O. So notice how I said O, and I had the two vowel sounds. That would be the real pronunciation of boat. Not necessarily wrong to say it that way, but if you were doing like a vocal exercise, boat, you don't necessarily have to say the ut part, but this is just as an example for the diphthong, okay? So either one could be correct. It also depends on the accent of the person. You can also tell what part of the country someone is from based on how they say their words and if they're using specific sounds. Okay, the next one, the next diphthong is I. So it's that A with the hook and then the uppercase I, and that makes the sound I as in bite, bite, okay? Then going into the next one, it is that uppercase A with the and that's house, house, ow as in house. And like I said, you don't have to connect it, but make sure that you use the A with the hook, okay? And then the next diphthong is that backward C with the uppercase I, and it's oi, oi as in boy, oi as in boy. And then lastly, the last diphthong that we have here is a J. It looks like a J, and then the oo sound, but you're going to make the J have a ya, like a Y. So when you see these symbols together, this diphthong is you. Okay. All right. Going into consonants, every fricative consonant also has, if it has a voice, it also has an unvoiced version of that specific sound. So for instance, when you say this letter, everyone knows what this letter is, correct? Letter P, right? So letter P makes this sound, p, 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 right? You could still say that without letting voice go through. You could just blow the air, close the front of the lips, like the lips close and you're blowing air. P, p. That is that specific symbol sound. Now, that is the unvoiced version. Now, the version of this sound with voice is this sound, which is ba, ba. You can't say the B without voice. Try to say the B without voice. It comes out like a P, okay? So those are the two things that are kind of similar to each other. So when you look at the fricative and voiced and unvoiced, on one side, put the unvoiced version, which in that case it was the P, and then on the other side, put the B. So in the next section of this, we have the T. Okay, so everyone say T. T, T, T. Notice how you could say it without voice. Does anyone think they know what the voiced version of the T is? The voiced version of the T is D, D, which is da, da, da. So try to say the D without making a voice, making your voice be heard. You can't, it comes out as a T. So those are the two that are similar to each other. They use the tip of the tongue, t, da, t, da. So those are the two that you're going to put in the next. You could put it either across or under. Either one is fine. Okay, now the letter K makes this sound. K, k, k. Now, who thinks they know what is the voiced version of this? You are correct if you said G, which is g, 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 k, g, k, g. So put that on one side of the slash, the K on one side and the G on the other. Okay, the next one, letter F. Letter F, what is the voiced version of that? So F is the unvoiced version. The voiced version of F is v, v, v. It's the V. Letter V, that was correct if you said V. So F on one side, V on the other side. Okay, good. Now, going into more different symbols. So those were symbols that we're familiar with. Symbols that we're not familiar with, just a few more left, okay? So this one kind of looks like an oval with a line not quite in the middle, slightly higher than through the middle, right? So this sound is as in thumb, as in thumb. And the voiced version of this, so notice how this one, you don't have to create voice to say this specific symbol. But the voiced version of this is this. It kind of looks like a Japanese character, right? But it's kind of like a loop and then with a cross through it. The voiced version of this is as in the or these or they. Okay, so that's this symbol, and this is the voice version of this one, which is okay. All right, just a few more. Oops, sorry. A few more fricative consonants. So we know what symbol this is. S, s. And the voiced version of this is z, 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 z. Okay, so on one side put the S, on the other side put the Z. Hit it. So this looks like a really like long version of the S, like kind of almost like a music symbol, right? But this is the sound for sh, the sound for sh, but it is kind of like a long looking S. And the voiced version of this is this. It kind of looks like a cursive Z, and this makes the sound sh, sh, as in Asia. So this is sh, as in shh, be quiet. And this is sh, as in Asia. Okay. And I usually start up here and do that zigzag and then loop around. So the affricative consonants is, you know, this symbol, and then we just learned this symbol, right? So this is T and sh. And when you say them together, it comes out ch, ch, as in choose, I choose you. So that's that symbol. You have to have the T with that cursive or really swirly looking S. And the voiced version of that would be this, but these are known as affricative, which is two consonant sounds at the same time. So if you look at where it says affricative consonants, that's where you're going to put these symbols. So the voiced version of this one, but you're just going to put this and this, is j, j. So everyone say ch, so you know voice there, and then j. That's what this sound is. So it's like the D sound and D sound and the j sound together. J, j. Okay. And then we have our nasal consonants. So it looks like an N, but it hooks at the back of the N, almost like there's a G without like the loop section of it. So that's the sound. This is the symbol for ng, as in song. I'm going to sing a song. So that's that symbol. So if you ever have that NG sound, this is the symbol for the NG. Okay. And then if you put the hook, so here's the difference between the two. Okay. If you put the hook at the beginning of the N, making it look kind of like a J, and then you hook it around there like a regular N, that is the sound for nya, nya, like N-Y-A. It's like you're saying lasagna, lasagna. So the nya, nya sound and the nga, nga sound. The difference is when it hooks at the beginning, the swirl of the nasality sound is at the front of the mouth. And when the hook is at the end of the vowel or end of the consonant, it's the back of the mouth, nga, nga, where the soft palate and the tongue meet together, and it creates that specific sound. Okay, so that is the end of the IPA section. Okay, so how will knowing IPA help you sing? Anyone think they know? Well, usually when we look at a song and we're trying to figure out how to say the words or figure out where we need to put the emphasis of the word, knowing how to pronounce the words correctly, especially in whatever language you're singing in, is very, very important. You know how sometimes, especially if you speak another language and you hear someone who has an accent, you know for a fact that whatever language that they're singing in is not their first language, right? So to be true and give full honor to that specific song in that specific language, whoever's learning the song, they try their best to pronounce the words correctly and say the words as true and as clear as possible. So I'm going to take apart just part of two songs. The first one is Amazing Grace, and then the second one is He Looked Beyond My Fault and Saw My Need. This one's more familiar, right? So there's lots of diphthongs, and then there's nasal consonants, and then there's words that you want to emphasize specific syllables. So this is, I'm going to give you like the fast version of how you could figure out how to take a word and know how to say it correctly. So for instance, the first word is amazing, right? So if you're going to do the IPA for that, what syllable do you emphasize? Do you emphasize a, or do you emphasize may, or do you emphasize zing? So amazing, amazing. So I think we emphasize the may part. So because of that, I put an accent mark right next to the may. So because this is a, and I'm not emphasizing it, remember we talked about what symbol represents that sound. So if I was in another language, I would know, oh, don't emphasize if I don't speak English. And then I put a little space there so that I know that it's a new syllable. And because it's a diphthong, I'm going to do that. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this up and write at the same time. So that's with may with the accent mark. And Z is just Z, right? And because I am saying the E vowel, that's the front vowel, and it's the ng sound, this is how I would write the IPA for it. So amazing. And then grace. That's the word, right? But grace would be, so R, it could be rolled or it could be that sound, right? So if it's it doesn't have the hook on it or the line on it. And it's one syllable. And because it's one syllable, I still put the accent mark at the end of it. So it would be amazing grace. Amazing grace. Okay. All right. So hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of that. So I put the words here on here. And when I write the IPA, it looks like hi, but that is he. And then looked, would look like that. Beyond. Now notice beyond, it's not beyond. Now beyond, beyond. And I put the accent mark on the second syllable. He looked beyond my and I have my diphthong, my fault. Fault as opposed to fault. Fault. Okay, so that's like bought, that aw vowel. And that's kind of how you also would say God. You would put this one and not God, unless you want someone to say God bad like this. If you're from the Midwest, they kind of have that accent where they kind of say, hi, how are you? And they kind of, or not Midwest, New England, that area. So that would be a different vowel. So just to kind of give you an idea, it gives you a better sense of sounds, accents, how you say words, and it makes the way that you say your words clearer and more pure. And especially if you want to sound like that specific country in their accent and say the words correctly, IPA can help you with that and give you a better sense of appreciation for those languages. Before I end, I wanted to do one vocal exercise that kind of gave us the idea of all the different, some, not all of them, but some of the different vowels and feeling them in one exercise. So, I almost want to do this one. Oh, so you're not going oh, but oh, kind of a little bit more open in the back. Let's try that again. One more time. All right. So I hope that this has helped you kind of understand what the International Phonetic Alphabet is and how it can help you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this specific lesson. Have a good day.